third end of season awards show, coming to you live on Twitter, on Facebook and YouTube. Welcome to the Athletic UK's HQ here in central London. My name is Adam Leventhal, your host for this evening's roll call of the best footballers from the 2021-22 season in the men's and the women's game in England, Scotland, and the rest of Europe. Now, tonight we will be revealing the Premier League and the WSL player, young player of the season and coach of the season. We have the teams of the season in both divisions. We have the goal, the individual performance and the underrated player of the season in the Premier League. We have the championship player and young player of the season. And we also have the team of the year in the championship. We have the SPL, the La Liga, Bundesliga and Serie A player and young player of the year too. It's going to be a busy night, isn't it? And we're going to be getting the reaction from many of our winners this evening, plus the analysis of our team of reporters who've been watching the players in action all season. Now, for a little bit of background about these awards, these Athletic UK awards, the winners have been chosen after around 60 of our writers and editors placed their votes on all the various categories after the end of the season. We did it on Sunday. We had 24 hours. It included me, 24 hours to get our votes in. So it took in everything right up to the final day of the season in the Premier League in particular. So these awards take all of that into consideration and the rest of what happened in the domestic season. So if you are just joining us live on Twitter, on Facebook and YouTube, this is the Athletics' third end of season awards show. And it is really exciting. It is a little bit quiet where I am, but just around the corner, there is a hive of activity in the Athletic UK newsroom. And we're very much looking forward to announcing the winners across a whole array of categories. Now, let's start with the young player of the season for the Premier League and also the WSL. And we can welcome to this award show our women's football reporter, Charlotte Harper, who joins us now. Charlotte, hello. How are you? A very good evening to you.
I'm good, thanks, Adam. I'm very well. How are you?
Yeah, very, very well indeed. I'm set for a big evening of celebration. And maybe that might take into account maybe a little tipple once this is all over, once we've got through all of these awards. Just from your point of view, before we kick on, just sum up, because there's been such a gear change in the women's game. From your point of view, this WSL season that we have seen, how much joy has it brought to you?
It's been great. So competitive. One of the best seasons so far. It's been branded as the most competitive league. We've seen Birmingham take points off the top teams, Tottenham having a great season, finishing fifth even, and then the top four really battling it out, especially Manchester City against Manchester United for that Champions League position, and then Chelsea and Arsenal going down to the last day of the season.
Absolutely. It has been drama all the way. It sort of mirrored the Premier League as well, with so much at stake. I wanted to also welcome to the awards Sam Lee, who is our Manchester City reporter. We are obviously going to be going through the Young Player of the Year in the WSL and also the Premier League as well. Now, Charlotte, we're going to start with the WSL Young Player of the Year, and I wanted you, and I'm going to do this evening. I'm not going to take it on. I'm going to allow our experts, those who can analyse each category with such precision, to lead the charge on this. So, Charlotte, if you wouldn't mind just taking us through the three shortlisted contenders for the WSL Young Player of the Year, and maybe a little bit about them as well.
Yeah, so we've got Manchester City's Lauren Hemp at 21 years of age. I can't believe she's still that young. She's got so many years ahead of her. And every time she steps onto the pitch, you think, what threat is she going to create for her team? She's dangerous down that left wing, cutting inside on that right foot, as well as using her dominant left foot. Ella Toone for Manchester United, also 22, still so young, 7 goals for United, and has really shone for England this year as well, and will be an exciting prospect for the Euros. And then Erin Cuthbert at 23 years of age. I mean, she's got such a dogged determination about her, fights for every ball. She's a hustler, and then she scores absolute worldies like she did in the FA Cup final. So it was really tight between those three.
Yeah, 3 great players, 3 great characters as well who have been nominated. So Lauren Hemp of Manchester City, Ella Toone of Manchester United, and Erin Cuthbert of Chelsea. And Charlotte, it is time now to name the winner of the WSL Young Player of the Season.
So the Athletics WSL Young Player of the Season is Manchester City's Lauren Hemp.
Excellent. Charlotte, thank you very much. Indeed, a worthy winner. Before I take you through those quotes, obviously you've mentioned, about her qualities already, but why do you think she just edged it?
I think it's those eel-like runs. She's just, those hips just move, and you think, wow, she offers something on the pitch. And Emma Hayes said before the FA Cup final, I hope she's amazing in the summer for the Euros and rubbish at the weekend when Chelsea played Manchester City. So that just tells you what a world-class player she is. Could be in the future.
Let me just take you through the quotes that you can see there on your screen. If you're watching on Twitter, on Facebook and YouTube, it's an honour to have been voted as the Athletics Young Women's Player of the Year for 2021-22. I very much appreciate the writers and the editors of The Athletic voting for me to win this award, but I'm very lucky to be surrounded by so many talented players. It's very much a team effort. Although we didn't start the season how we wanted to, we've proven any doubters we had wrong with our form since the turn of the year, and to finish with the Champions League qualification, the Continental Tires League Cup, and reaching the FA Cup final is an incredible achievement. There is a lot more to come from me personally, and I'm excited for the future here at Manchester City. So that is Lauren Kemp receiving her award. And Sam, from your point of view, there are a lot of big stars at Manchester City. In terms of the men's side, Lauren Hemp is leading the charge for the women's side at the moment, and she's showing so much potential for the future.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot to shout about from the women's team in terms of individual quality as well, of course, and that's going back over a few years. They've got kind of global talent, but obviously this shows that there's local talent, there's young talent, and yeah, to win this award is definitely a bright spark. It was difficult earlier in the season, as she alluded to there. They finished fairly strongly. I know at the moment there's a bit of an exodus going on at City, to be honest. So this is really something to kind of not so much cling to, but take heart from. That there is such a good young player there at City, and maybe that's the way they go in the future, with replacing the kind of big names that go. Maybe they go down the younger route, and with Lauren Hemp, there's not many better examples.
Absolutely. So congratulations to Lauren Hemp, the winner of the WSL Young Player of the Season. Now let's move on to the shortlist for the men's Young Player of the Year. And as I did with Charlotte, I'll allow you, Sam, if you don't mind, to take us through the shortlist for the Young Player of the Year from the Premier League.
Yeah. So a bit like Charlotte said before, Phil Foden, he's on the list. Still 21 years old. He's obviously been around forever, but 21 years old. I think he's 22 on Saturday, but he'll still be eligible for this one next season. And you wouldn't be surprised if he was on the list again. We may talk a bit more about him in a moment. But who needs any kind of introduction for Phil Foden at this point? So smooth, so silky, so tactically intelligent. The reason that City kept him around when he was coming through, so he could learn Pep Guardiola's system. I wouldn't say he knows it inside out, but he's pretty darn close. He can play any position across the front three. Eventually, he'll play in midfield. He's had another great season. Mark Guéhi, 21 as well. Crystal Palace, not easy for centre backs to make it onto these kind of awards. I don't think we've had too many young breakthrough players this season, but Mark's definitely one. for what he's done at Palace. You know, they've got a good thing going on there. You need to play with a lot of personality in that team to build up from the back. Obviously, coming from Chelsea, he knows how that works, and he's had a good season for them. And, you know, now looking at the England squad as well. And the obvious one, I guess, as well, Trent Alexander-Arnold, 23 years old, so he just sneaks in. It's probably his last season he's eligible for this.
Yeah.
But again, no introduction needed, really. Liverpool right back, kind of, not just a right back, comes forward into those inside positions, those half spaces, so much time on the ball to play those world-class passes and crosses of his. You know, Liverpool fans love him. I was talking about Mark Gahey there with England. With Trent Alexander-Arnold, you're never quite sure where he stands from an England point of view. But from a Liverpool point of view, I'm sure they wouldn't swap him for anybody. And to see him on this shortlist is no surprise at all.
Okay, Sam, thank you very much indeed. So those are the nominated Young Player of the Year contenders. Phil Foden of Manchester City, Mark Gahey of Crystal Palace, and Trent Alexander-Arnold from Liverpool. Sam, take it away. Announce the winner.
I'm not just here because the Liverpool correspondents are too busy. The winner is Manchester City's Phil Foden.
He is indeed. Many congratulations to Phil Foden, and he has kindly sent us this acceptance speech, which I will read on his behalf. He's probably still celebrating, let's be honest. I want to say thank you to all of the writers and editors who voted for me to win this award. Last weekend was an amazing way to end the season, and I'm proud that my performances have played a small part in bringing the Premier League trophy back to our fans. It's great to get praise from people who watch so much football throughout the season. Hopefully I can keep pushing on and be in the running for the senior award soon. And Sam, I mean, from your point of view, he shows no signs of slowing down. It just seems to be a steady progression, steady improvement. What do you see as his sort of, you know, the areas that maybe he can still improve in?
Yeah, well, it's an interesting one because obviously he won the Premier League Young Player Award last weekend. And I know there were some City fans who were thinking, I'm not quite sure about that, because last season he was kind of so devastating on the left wing, scored plenty of goals, like added that to his game. He was kind of explosive in the way he burst past people. And normally for these awards, that's what you need. You need that ability to dribble, to score goals, the eye-catching stuff. This season, he hasn't necessarily done that. He's been playing false nine a lot. So my take on that is he has progressed, as you say. He has added different areas to his game, different strengths, you know, back to goal, dropping deep. And when he said there, he's played a small part in bringing the trophy back. I guess that's being modest, but it's actually a big part. You'd maybe say he hasn't been so eye-catching this season, but in terms of the role he's had to do, that false nine role for Manchester City, where you're outside the box for so much of it, you're bringing other people into play, you're allowing other people to shine, to be able to have the mentality and the ability to do that at 21 years old, I think it says a lot for him. I think going into this season, he did want to win the Senior Player of the Year award. I don't think he's going to be in the conversation for that. But as we see for the young player, bearing in mind his age and all of these things, he fully deserves it. And I do think that by adding that repertoire to his game tactically, I think next season, wherever he plays, whether it's in the front three, eventually in midfield, I think he'll be winning that senior award at some point in the future for sure.
We shall see. Sam, thank you very much for now. We may well see you later on in the awards show. Sam, thank you very much for coming on. Now, we mentioned about the shortlist there, and it included someone who may well feature in this alternative view on the Young Player of the Year. Here is the Athletic's Carl Anker. Take it away, Carl.
Hello to every Athletic subscriber, listener, and contributor out there. My name's Carl Anker. I'm sorry, I'm giving you a pre-recorded message. I feel like I'm at an award show here. I'd like to explain a little bit about the methodology behind the Rookie of the Year award that you all contributed to very nicely. So what I did was I looked at how we create a Young Player of the Year award both for the PFA and the Premier League, and I thought, that's a bit skew with. We can do something better. So what I did was I created a methodology that looked at every single player that made their Premier League debut in the 21-22 season. I then looked at every single player that made their debut and played over 1,500 minutes in the league. Then I looked at which players in that league were under the age of 23 when the season started. I created a 12-list candidate. I allowed you all to vote for it. And today I can announce that the winner of the Athletic Rookie of the Year is Crystal Palace's Mark Gahey, a fantastic centre-back. Really good at progressive runs and getting the ball from the edge of his penalty area to the the opponent's penalty area. Matt Wilson, Crystal Palace reporter, says he could be a future Crystal Palace captain. I think he's probably the future of the England national team at centre-back as well. I know Chelsea have a buyback clause on him, but I can very easily see him going for a lot of money one day. If not, indeed, getting Crystal Palace to the European spots one day as well. So congratulations to Mark Gray. Hope he does well. Thank you so much to everyone who voted, everyone who commented, and everyone who wants to see a future version of the Rookie of the Year next season as well. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Brilliant. Thank you very much to Carl for recording that. And yes, congratulations to Mark Gahey, who has been awarded the Rookie of the Year. It was something that Carl fought for. He got it over the line and feels like it might be here to stay. As is Charlotte. Charlotte is here to stay because we are now going to move on to our next category, which is the Coach of the Season in the WSL and also the Premier League. And joining Charlotte is, and this might be a little bit of a clue, Jay Harris, who is our reporter who covers Brentford. So we will come on to Jay in a moment's time. We're sort of, you can see that the trees being cut down. You can see the script being written. I know that, but it's all right. You know, that's fine. But let's deal with the WSL first of all. And Charlotte, I think, you know, she is someone that has become synonymous with the women's game, but she has become even bigger than that. She is a household name. Would you like to announce the winner of the WSL Coach of the Year, please?
Yes, the winner of the Coach of the Year is Chelsea's Emma Hayes.
And just explain why, in particular, due to her achievements, but also due to just the fact that she has such a presence now in the game as a whole.
Yeah, and I think that's really important. You know, Emma has done a lot for the game, especially pushing for the progression of women's football. But for Chelsea as well, she's been there for 10 years. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a lot of hard work in there. And I think she's a brilliant coach, but a brilliant coach of human beings. She knows what makes her players tick and how to get the best out of them on an individual basis, knowing what each player needs and how to communicate, but also making sure they sing off the same hymn sheet. It hasn't been easy for Chelsea. You know, Arsenal led the way for the majority of the season. There was real pressure every game not to slip up. And then they held that on right until the last game of the season. And what a relief that was for them. But they had a small kind of matter of a club takeover in the background as well. So for Emma to lead her team, and she'll be so humble as she always is to saying it's a team effort. And in a press conference, she's like, I'm not sure really what I do, but she does a hell of a lot behind the scenes. And yeah, treating players as human beings, I think, is one of her biggest attributes.
She's got that wonderful self-deprecating edge, but she is ruthless as they come in terms of her tactical precision as well. As you can see, Liam Toomey and his cat has joined the show. Our Chelsea reporter. Oh, it's a dog, was it? Sorry, I'm not good on simple things like that. That was a dog. Brilliant. I must note that down. Dogs look like that. Okay, great. Liam, great to have you on the show. Just a word about Emma Hayes and you know the pride that Chelsea must have in having her at the football club.
Yeah, I think it's a massive, massive source of pride on a yearly basis because she keeps justifying the project that she has built from the ground up. You know, Chelsea Women is the house that Emma Hayes built in every sense. From the actual facilities at Cobham, which are, I think, the best in the WSL, and the support staff they have, which is pretty much the biggest in the league, to the mentality that imbues everything they do. And, you know, I think as Charlotte alluded to, this maybe wasn't their most spectacular title win this year. It might even have been their hardest in many ways. They had a lot of injury problems, a lot of absentees for various reasons to really key players for stretches of the season. They didn't beat Arsenal in either of the meetings. They lost more games than them, scored fewer goals, but they got one more point. And that is the heart of being a champion.
And in terms of, you know, a lot of people have been talking about Emma Hayes, and I've seen it. I think I saw it earlier on today. moving away from the women's game and maybe managing in the men's game. Charlotte, what's your take on that? Is it there's no need for that, but do you think it might be something that she might want to do?
I think that's up to Emma to decide later on. And I know she hates that question because she's fully focused on the women's game and doing what she does best with Chelsea. Yeah, there have been questions about it. But from my point of view, that she knows that her job at Chelsea is one that she wants to progress, and also that the women's game is not necessarily needing to be compared to the lower levels of men's football. She's better than that, I think.
Absolutely. Right. Charlotte is staying with us. Liam is also staying with us because we are going to be going through the team of the year in the WSL very, very shortly indeed. That is going to be our next category after we name, surprise, surprise, spoiler alert, Jay Harris, we name the men's coach of the year. It is not Jurgen Klopp. It is not Pep Guardiola. It is not Thomas Tuchel. It is, Jay.
It gives me great pleasure to say that the winner of the Athletics Manager of the Season award is, of course, Brentford's head coach, Thomas Frank.
Jay, well done, and congrats to Thomas Frank. Let's hear from him now before we get a take from Jay on why he's actually won this award. Thomas.
Thank you to the Athletic writers for voting me Manager of the Season. Thank you very much.
Short and sweet. Jay, I want you to expand on that. He's obviously very appreciative. He's been a very, very exciting character to watch in the technical area, but also to watch his team play, but also to hear him maybe speak more at length than he did there during the season, because he's so articulate about the game and his beliefs. Why do you think he has won this award amongst all of our writers? You know, these have been voted for by around about 60 of our writers and editors as well. Why do you think he has been the pick?
I think there's just such admiration for what he's managed to achieve at Brentford over the last year. You know, at the beginning of the season, people forget now, but there were just so many question marks about whether Brentford would be able to stay in the Premier League. They had one of the youngest squads in the Premier League at the time. They had pretty much virtually no previous Premier League experience. Everybody kind of thought that this was a recipe for disaster. But the way that he's kind of managed to navigate the season has been simply phenomenal. From the very moment that they beat Arsenal 2-0 on the opening day of the season, you just kind of got this feeling that there was something special brewing in at Brentford. But I still don't think anybody could have predicted quite how well it's gone. They obviously had a sticky patch between January and February when they didn't win 8 games. But then, you know, I'm sorry, Liam, I'm going to have to bring it up, but they beat Chelsea 4-1 at Stamford Bridge. They beat West Ham. You know, they draw 0-0 with Tottenham, the Christian Eriksen arrival and story. It's just been simply phenomenal. And again, Adam, you won't like me for saying this, but I think the biggest thing that speaks volumes of Brentford this season is that they finished the season with 46 points, which is more than Watford and Norwich combined. So that should tell you everything about how good a job Thomas Frank's done this year.
There were many sticks you could have hit me with, but that's a great stat. Thank you very much with that one. Obviously did the double over Watford as well, won a pivotal game as well over Watford when it was looking as if Brentford were heading in the wrong direction, but they ended up finishing closer to the European places than they did the relegation zone. And Liam, you know, a word away from Jay, who's been fully immersed in Brentford. You know, he mentioned that victory at Stamford Bridge. How impressed have you been watching this Brentford side just seem to, you know, get up to a level and stay there and ride it out and then kick on at the end of the season?
Yeah, I mean, I've been impressed over the last few years with just how well run they are as a club. But what's impressed me this season is that they've actually changed their style on the pitch quite significantly from the team they were in the Championship. And that seems to have been quite intelligently done by Thomas Frank. And they got a positive start, which a lot of promoted teams do, but they weathered that lull in the middle that a lot of promoted teams, they kind of hit a mid-season wall, and some of them can really limp to the finish line or even get sucked back into it. But that never looked the case with Brentford. And of course, fantastic performance from them at Stamford Bridge. I was almost as impressed by their performance against Chelsea earlier in the season at home, because Ben Chilwell came out afterwards and said the last 20 minutes was hell. And I still don't know how Chelsea got out of that game with a 1-0 win. So they're a very, very impressive team. They're a very impressive club, just the way they operate. Thomas Frank is a very bright coach. And I think they've got a good future in this league.
Yeah, I agree. And a lot of teams, we've seen it with Leeds this season, it's that second season syndrome. You get the feeling that Brentford have already got a good plan. They know what to expect. It's obviously going to be tough, and there'll be other teams in there that they're going to be competing with, but you would imagine, Jay, that they will be able to kick on.
Yeah, definitely. I think one thing that's really good about the club is that they're, as Liam kind of alluded to, very methodical, very thought out. Brentford would have been planning for this transfer window in ages. They're not all of a sudden going to go, right, we've managed to stay in the Premier League. Right, who can we sign? They will know exactly who they're going to be hunting for. And again, as Liam alluded to, this is a club that looks at and analyses all the fine margins possible. Brentford scored 16 goals from set pieces last season, which is the joint third highest in the Premier League. Norwich and Watford are at the other end of that scale. There's no stone. I promise you, everyone, that I did not come on here to just wind Adam and Liam up. But, they won't leave any stone unturned. And, the club are very aware about second season syndrome. They feel like there's a little bit of a narrative around it. But I feel like if any club could potentially buck that trend, then it would be Brentford. They've got so many talented players, the likes of Rico Henry, Christian Norgard, Vitaly Janov, Bruyne and Bumo. Other teams will be looking at them, but they've all signed long-term contracts this year. So they're in a really good position to keep the core of that squad and kick on.
Brilliant. Jay, thank you very much indeed. And many congratulations to Thomas Frank, to Emma Hayes, our two coaches of the season. Jay is going to leave us now. Jay, thank you very much. Have a very good evening. And now we are going to head into our next category. Charlotte and Liam staying with us. And Art de Rocher is going to be joining us to pick apart the WSL team of the season. There is Art. There he is. He is ready to go. Art, very good evening to you. Now, what I'm going to do with the team of the season, we've gone for a 4-3-3 formation. And Charlotte, I'm going to allow you to maybe, you lead the charge and you can take us through from goalkeeper, through to the front, and then maybe Art and Liam, if perchance there are any Arsenal or Chelsea players in particular that you would like to add to, then I'll let you jump in. I think that's probably the best way to work it. So Charlotte, would you like to take us through the WSL team of the season?
Yep, so we've got Manchester United, Mary Earps in goal, especially with an injury to Ellie Roebuck. She's stood out as England #1, and she's bid to be the kind of England #1 for the Euros this summer as well. Has had a decent side for Manchester United, decent season even, but it will be, I suppose, with the Euros that she'll really show her true promise. Back four of Jess Carter, Leah Williamson, Millie Bright and Alex Greenwood. I'll let Liam and Art jump in if they want to chat about Jess Carter and Leah Williamson and Millie Bright. But for my part, I think Alex Greenwood has had a sensational season for Manchester City, really stepped up to the plate, especially when City was struggling early on with injuries. She had a cracking game in the FA Cup final. It was really harsh on her that Sam Kerr's deflected goal came off her. But again, a bright prospect for the Euros. But I'll hand over to Art and Liam if they want to talk about that back four.
Do we hit a buzzer? Oh,
yeah,
just jump in.
Go on,
just
Art.
go for it. Art.
You go ahead. Liam's having a moody, arty light experience at the moment, which is quite interesting
crazy
to watch.
The sun's coming out exclusively on my face.
Yeah, I'm quite lucky that
wonderful.
Over here it's just over my shoulder. But I'll go with Leah Williamson at centre back. I think even Emma Hayes on the final day made reference to her injury in, I guess, around the winter time, saying her missing out those games for Arsenal is probably a major influence in the title race, because she is the player at Arsenal who's able to start attacks from centre back, but also is relied upon in defence as well. And I think going into this season, what was probably the biggest area for improvement for Williamson on a personal level was her wanting to be seen as someone who could be relied upon. And I think she showed that in abundance this season, both with and without the ball, and also in terms of just the intangibles that come with football as well. It's not just what happens when you pass a ball or score a goal. it's how you actually lead the players around you. And I think her being named as England's captain ahead of the Euros is just a testament to not just this season, but her whole career as a whole. And I think she's more than justified for her place in the team of the season.
Liam, do you want to take us through the Chelsea representatives in that back four?
Yeah, so first on Millie Bright, Chelsea have had the best open play defence in the WSL this season. I know they conceded one more goal than Arsenal, but our colleague Michael Cox did an excellent analysis, which is up on The Athletic, of their title win, which you can read. And Millie Bright's been the most used player in the squad, and she hasn't had her normal defensive partner Magda Eriksson for a large stretch of the season as well, and it hasn't really affected her form. She's such a great presence at the heart of that defence. Very good on the ball, very comfortable playing out from the back, but just utterly dominant in the air and on the floor. And for Jess Carter, just an incredibly versatile defender. Has played pretty much every role in that Chelsea system as they've switched between a back three and a back four at different stages of the campaign. And she just seems to be unbeatable 1v1. Even players that have played against her have not been shy in saying that. So both well-deserved inclusions in this.
Charlotte, let's head into the midfield, shall we?
Yeah, that's what I'll jump across in. So in the midfield, we've got Ella Toone, Erin Cuthbert and Kim Little. So two of the young player nominees. And then up top, Beth Mead, Sam Kerr and Lauren Hemp. So I'll just spend a couple of minutes going through those. As alluded to, we've already spoken about Ella Toone and Erin Cuthbert. Even Cuthbert said she ran so hard on the FA Cup final that her calves were going to fall off. I know this is the WSL awards and not the FA Cup included, but that's just testament to Cuthbert's determination, as already alluded to. A word on Kim Little, and I'm sure Art will jump in as well, but she makes things tick in Arsenal's midfield, is instrumental in how they combine and link together from defence to attack. My colleague Flo Lloyd-Hughes wrote a great piece on Beth Mead and her revenge tour. She was dropped from the Olympic squad by Hegarisa last year, and then since then has lit up the stage for Arsenal. Jonas Eidevall, the Arsenal head coach, was saying how quick she is at counter-pressing. Hasn't seen anyone like it. Lightning speed. Sam Kerr, those wonder goals. Wow. What a player. Class epitomised, but also a work rate like no other. And then Lauren Hemp, a piece has just gone up on The Athletic by my colleague Katie Wyatt, My Game in My Words, where Lauren Hemp analyses her style of play. So if you want to read more about her, then definitely check that one out.
And Art and Liam, is there anyone in particular that you would like to pick out there and wax lyrical about?
I'll go buzz. I think out of those, obviously, I'm going to have to mention Beth Mead. I feel like in terms of a complete package of a player in that front line, she's been the epitome of that throughout the season. Obviously, I think Charlotte mentioned her going into this season seeking revenge for being left out of the Olympics. But I think you've seen not just in her goal output, but being able to create chances, actually get assists as well. And then also, as Charlotte mentioned, press effectively. I think she's been able to be a presence in all assets of the game. And it's really driven Arsenal to take that title charge to the final day of the season. So I think she was actually, in my opinion, quite unlucky not to get as much recognition earlier on in the season. But I feel like she's probably the one shining light from an Arsenal perspective this season.
And just to give some shine to Erin Cuthbert, another example of the incredible versatility that's kind of underpinned this Chelsea title win. She's been used all up the right flank at different times, so as far back as wing back, and she's been used in central midfield as well. And she, wherever she's put on the pitch, she seems to offer such a balanced contribution. You know, she can be Chelsea's most dangerous attacker at times, but she's never a defensive liability. She presses really well. She's just super reliable, as well as being a very high quality footballer.
Well, Art, Charlotte, and Liam, thank you very much for naming that WSL team of the season. You'll be able to see that if you're watching on social media, on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube as well. And congratulations to everyone on their inclusions. But now it is time for our next award, and it is the main award as far as the WSL is concerned, and that is the Player of the Season. And Charlotte, will you take us through the shortlisted players and maybe cue a few people if need be?
So the shortlist consists of Chelsea's Sam Kerr, Arsenal's Beth Mead, and Manchester City's Lauren Hemp, who has already won our Young Player of the Season award. Liam, I'll tee you up with Sam Kerr.
Yeah, I mean, she's been absolutely remarkable, hasn't she? 20 goals in the league, far and away the top scorer, but the outstanding attacking player all around. Just leading Chelsea's play with and without the ball from the front so well. Her movement has always been excellent, the final third. Her finishing has reached new heights. I remember when she first came to Chelsea, that was the one thing that was kind of bizarrely lacking, was that she wasn't particularly ruthless, but she has been this year. Her 20 goals have come from 63 shots. So it's almost 1 in every 3 shot is going in. And I was there actually at the FWA awards night when she got her FWA Player of the Year award. And she doesn't like being centre of attention. She's absolutely earned it this season. And then she went out, 2 days after that ceremony and scored those 2 ridiculous goals against Manchester United, which was to seal Chelsea's title win. It was the ultimate statement performance.
And Art?
Yeah, I think when Liam mentioned that final day, so I was obviously covering Arsenal women at West Ham, and it was quite an entertaining, 90 minutes because at the stadium, the press box was quite near the Arsenal bench, so you could see Jordan Nobbs, for instance, streaming the Chelsea game on her phone, and then for us, I think you're waiting for the notifications, Sam Kerr, and they came pretty quickly in the second half. And I think after that, you just kind of saw almost the life leave the stadium because all the fans found out pretty quickly as well. But then watching back the goals is just quite, as Liam said, remarkable to see just the instinct really to find the net so easily. And I think definitely with how close it was on going to the final day, and being so instrumental in keeping Chelsea just that point ahead of Arsenal, definitely deserved. But Beth Mead is still quite unlucky, I reckon.
So our 3 nominees, Sam Kerr of Chelsea, Beth Mead of Arsenal, and Lauren Hemp of Manchester City. Charlotte, do you want to tell us who the winner is?
The winner is Sam Kerr.
So many congratulations to Sam Kerr, the winner of the Athletics WSL Player of the Season award. And we can hear from her now.
Hi everyone, just want to say thank you to everyone who voted me for Player of the Season. It's been an incredible year for us as a team, and I couldn't have achieved any of what we've done without my team. So a big thank you to them, a big thank you to Emma. I'm so glad we could finish the season on a high with the double.
Yeah, so great season for Sam Kerr, great season for Chelsea. Just a final word to you, Charlotte, if I may, on the summer to come and the excitement in the women's game as well.
Yeah, I'm going to recharge the batteries and then it's foot on the gas for the Euros. So much talent on the big stage. Really looking forward to it, not only from an England perspective, but across the continent. And yeah, come down, get a ticket if you haven't already. And I think Serena Wiegman and England, it'll be really, really interesting to see how she gets those players ticking. But there's definitely a threat from France, Spain, Sweden, Norway, there is, as I said, so much talent on offer. And I'm really looking forward to sharing that with the UK population.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to the coverage from all of our team on the Athletic of the Euros, which are coming up. Art, Liam and Charlotte, thank you very much for being part of the awards show this evening. I'm going to let you all go. Thank you very much indeed. Good little wave, all the waves. I'll let you get back to your dog, Liam. Well done. Jolly good. Now, let's move on to our next category. And we're going to move into the EFL now. And it is time to look at the Young Player of the Year and also the Player of the Year in the Championship. And we're going to start off by speaking to Peter Rutzler, who has been covering the all-conquering Fulham side, the winners of the Championship. Peter, great to have you on the show. Great to see you. Great to see Fulham back in the Premier League as well. I wanted you to start off, if you would be so kind, to take us through the shortlist for the Young Player of the Season in the EFL.
Absolutely, Adam. Some fantastic talents on show in the Championship, and it seems to be the case. We see these talents, and suddenly they burst into the Premier League the following season. So, same again this year for the Championship. The nominees are Fabio Carvalho at Fulham, Brennan Johnson at Nottingham Forest, and Morgan Gibbs-White at Sheffield United.
And Peter, we're going to go straight into it. Do you want to name the winner?
Yes, the winner of the Athletics Young Player of the Season in the Championship is Fulham's Fabio Carvalho.
Why has he won?
Well, he's had an outstanding season. Like the rest of his teammates, really. I mean, Fulham have really impressed and scored so many goals and blown teams away. And it's not always been easy for someone to stand out when you're competing with Alexander Mitchevich and Harry Wilson, who have also been brilliant in that Fulham attack line. But Carvalho, this year was his first senior season really as a professional. It's the first time with the first team set up for a full campaign, and it's just not fazed him at all. He's looked to cut above at times. He's naturally gifted playmaker, creates chances, knits Fulham's attacking moves together. And I think probably the best way to sum up his influence on this team is, obviously he's now going to be heading to Liverpool in the summer, but he leaves a big hole to fill, and as I said, this is a team that's had Mitchevich score tons of goals, Harry Wilson chipping in, Naskins Cabano as well. But even he, Carvalho, has managed to make himself so important to the way Marco Silva's side play. And he's been a joy to watch all season, and there has been some very tough competition for this award, especially from Brennan Johnson at Nottingham Forest, who's also been outstanding. Carvalho is clearly a talented kid who's going to go a long way in the game.
And you mentioned there that he is heading to Liverpool. Whilst we are talking about Carvalho, we'll obviously kick on to the main award, the Player of the Year in the EFL. But we just had to get Kiva O'Neill on the show, who is, look at that, fantastic. Already in Paris, ready for the Champions League final, watching Liverpool against Real Madrid, and she'll be part of our coverage over there for The Athletic. But a quick word from you, Kiva. Great to see you on the new boy who is heading to Anfield, because you've tracked his progress, haven't you? Because there was a few bumps in the road actually getting the deal done eventually.
Yeah, bonsoir from Paris. Feels like I'm doing Eurovision here. But yeah, a few bumps in the road there, as me and Peter will well know from obviously deadline day in January. Liverpool, trying to get Carvalho, but time just ran out there. They managed to get him, and what a player he looks to be. He's 19, just a phenomenal talent. People know all about that, the goals, the assists. Obviously, a few days after Liverpool failed to sign him, he went and scored at the Etihad against Manchester City, as though to say, this is the kind of player I am. We know that he said he wants to win the Ballon d'Or one day. Obviously, I'm in France now. The Golden Ball could one day well be his. So, he's such an exciting talent, and I think it bodes well. Obviously, Jurgen Klopp's extended his contract, but then we'll be working with young players like this. You've got Harvey Elliott, who was also at Fulham, likes of Kate Gordon coming through as well. So it is an exciting time, and what a season, and definitely deserves to win the award and many awards. And I'm sure he will go on to win plenty of them.
Obviously, you've mentioned there, other young players who've come through. Obviously, Harvey Elliott, who's followed the same path. But where does Carvalho fit in for now at Liverpool?
I think he'll just fit straight into the squad. I think, he's definitely a player who's, an attacking midfielder who can play that Coutinho kind of role. Whether Liverpool need that or not to unlock a sort of next level, that could be the kind of player that they've obviously looked at to think he can, do so much with him. I think he can play on the wing if he's needed there. He's a player who's just, can play anywhere, and I think that suits Liverpool a lot. And you've seen him at 19 just bossing the Championship in the way he did, then you would expect him to just take to the Premier League like it was nothing. And I think that's why Liverpool want to keep him about, keep him, in a squad, learn him from the best. And he already seems to be on his way to being the best himself.
Kiva, wonderful. Thank you very much indeed. Have a wonderful weekend. Hope it all goes to plan for Liverpool. And obviously you'll be able to hear more from Kiva on The Athletic, covering Carvalho's future at Liverpool, but also on the Champions League as well. Kiva, thank you very much. Off she goes. So, Peter, you are still there in sort of less dynamic backdrop. But if you were to take a little bit of a nudge up, it would look like you were wearing a tiny fez. It would be great if I could.
From the lampshade. Yeah,
that's great. That's brilliant. Okay, right. Let's now deal with the main award in the EFL, and it is the Player of the Year. And it is no coincidence that you are here. But take us through the nominees first of all.
Yes, the nominees for Player of the Year in the Championship are Alexander Mitchevich, Dominic Solanke at Bournemouth, and Harry Wilson.
And who's won it, Peter?
There's a reason you've got me on, Adam. Alexander Mitchevich is the Athletics Player of the Year for the Championship.
Just for people that haven't been au fait with the sort of the goal scoring juggernaut that he is, just tell us about his stats and how impressive he's been.
Yeah, his season has just been absolutely phenomenal. He sort of redefined what it means to have a good goal scoring season in the Championship. Yeah. That's probably the best way to put it, because he did away with Ivan Toney's Championship record, which is a record since the Championship was rebranded, which is 31 goals. He did that with 14 games to spare, I think. He's now racked up 43 in total. And you have to go back to 1959 for the last player in the second tier to score that many. And that was Bruyne Clough for Middlesbrough while he was playing. It just gives it kind of a scope, really, and a perspective of just how impressive he's been. And, Fulham have played some fantastic football this year under Marco Silva. They've had some brilliant results, scoring 5, 6s and 7s on 3 occasions as well. And the man who's reaped the benefits of that is Mitchevich, who looks like a player who's in his prime now. He's been ruthless. He's not only scored 43 goals, he's outperformed his expected goals total, which is 36. So it's all sort of come together for him. He's obviously, we see the goals, but he's also got the most assists he's had in his career as well. He's vital to the way Fulham play with their build-up and knitting their attacking moves together, dropping deeper, bringing Harry Wilson into play, who's another nominee, who on another occasion would walk this award potentially, because he's been fantastic as well. So, he has been absolutely outstanding, and he's already Serbia's all-time leading goal scorer. He's a legend at Craven Cottage already, and now he seems primed to attack the Premier League next year.
Yeah, and it's going to be fascinating to see if he can carry that form. You would expect him to, in a new designed Fulham, into the Premier League under Marco Silva as well, because he's had a few stabs at it and hasn't quite gone to plan. But yeah, it'll be fascinating to see if Mitchevich can realise some big figures in the Premier League next season, because he's certainly going to be vital if Fulham are going to stay up. Now let's bring in Ahmed Shubal, who covers Bournemouth for us on The Athletic. Ahmed, great to see you. You are here to join Peter in pulling apart the Championship team of the season. And I think we're going to start with you, shall we, Ahmed? And maybe you can sort of do a bit of a tag team on this lineup. So you're going to start in goal for us.
Yes, thanks for having me on, guys. Lee Nichols is our goalkeeper for Huddersfield. I personally would, as you can probably tell, my bias with Bournemouth, I probably would have gone with Mark Travers, but hey ho. Yeah, Lee Nichols, obviously with Huddersfield in the playoff final against Nottingham Forest, has done a very good job. I think Mark Travers was the one who came away with the Golden Gloves with 20 clean sheets. But yeah, I think I'd much rather pass on to Peter with this one.
Yeah, I think Huddersfield have been really impressive this season, and we'll see them take on Forest in the final this weekend to get a shot in the Premier League. And you could also make a case for Brice Sambar as well. Lee Nichols has been absolutely solid for them, and they went on a brilliant unbeaten run in the mid to late stages of the season. And what was powering that was their clean sheets. And I remember when Fulham went up to Huddersfield in August, they won 5-1, and that was despite going down to 10 men. And you thought they may struggle here. They look a bit disorganised, but it's been completely the opposite. Carlos Corberán has really got them very well drilled. They keep games tight. They're very good at controlling games, and with Lee Nichols in goal, he's been effective. He's been effective for them, and that's why they are third. They've sort of gone under the radar to reach this point, and that's credit to them. And it's a tight award, I think, as Ahmed was saying, but thoroughly deserved for Lee Nichols. Then moving on to the rest of the back line. How many have we covered, Ahmed? Which do you want to take on Lloyd Kelly?
Yeah, cool. Lloyd Kelly, it hasn't really been the easiest season for him, but it's been one that he's absolutely needed. I think Scott Parker made him captain at the beginning of last season, while Steve Cook was out injured. And the armband never really changed sleeves after that. He's an interesting one because he came through at Bristol City as a left back, but he's like 6'3", so it always looks a bit weird for a big guy to be trudging up and down the touchline like that. He plays more as an elegant sort of ball-playing centre back in the middle of the defence, and the club were very keen to give him as much playing time as possible in the Championship to develop that physical side of his game, which I think has come leaps and bounds, to be honest with you. And it's interesting because Kelly is one that Parker has constantly referred to as being a level above the Championship. And there are a couple of them in Bournemouth's squad. So yeah, I think thoroughly deserving of a place in this team, especially considering, he was key to Bournemouth finishing with the best defensive record.
There's quite a Fulham theme to that back line with Jed Spence, who was obviously in the Fulham Academy before he was released and has done so well going on to Borough. And obviously this year has absolutely shone under Steve Cooper at Nottingham Forest. Seems to thrive in that wing-back position, seems to be getting the best out of him on that right-hand side. And we'll see, whether Forest go up this weekend, we'll see. And obviously his future at Borough as well. But it looks like he could be a Premier League player this time next year. And then, of course, the other two, Tosin and Robinson, part of a Fulham defence that's been pretty good. I know it's the attack that gets most of the plaudits. But, they have kept things tight at the back. They have had to win those games 1-0 on the road. And Tosin and Robinson have certainly played their part. Tosin plays a massively important role in the way Fulham play. It's distribution from the back, building up their attacks. You can see that Manchester City influence, and he's quite clearly a Premier League player with a lot of room to go further as well. And Robinson too. He's getting there. He's improving with each season, and his pace, particularly in recoveries, is really important to Fulham's style this season.
Cool. Moving on to the midfield, we'll start with Morgan Gibbs-White, Sheffield United. He's a player who definitely caught my eye. I was actually looked at by Bournemouth last summer as well, before they made the move for Ryan Christie. 11 goals, 9 assists, always a healthy return, particularly for a midfielder who's played in as many positions as Morgan Gibbs-White has. Think of central midfield and number 10, as a winger, as a sort of an inside forward. So yeah, I think that's a very solid return. And just judging by the eye test, always threatening in the final third, whether he's running it behind, whether he's threading that final pass through. And I think Wolves will have a big decision to make, whether or not Bruno Lage can offer him the minutes that he's looking for in the Premier League or not.
Yeah, he's definitely a player with a lot of admirers, is Morgan Gibbs-White. Also in midfield is John Swift at Reading. Reading have had a difficult season this year, but it seems that Swift is able to maintain such high standards, particularly at this level. He's sort of the heart of their team. He scores a lot of goals. I think he's got 11 goals I've got down here, 13 assists, which is a really impressive return from him. And when you get players like that, they can sort of be overlooked, I suppose, when you have campaigns like Reading have had, the difficulties they've had off the field as well. but he's one who will surely now be looking to push on going forward as well. And the last midfielder is Philip Billing.
Hey, Philip Billing, my guy. He's often been described by people at the club as a unicorn midfielder because he's someone who can play. He played as a number 6, a defensive role for Bournemouth in the Premier League and for Huddersfield as well. Played more as a progressive number 8 this season, but often as a number 10 as well, just behind Dominic Solanke. So he can occupy pretty much every role in that midfield, which is an asset that not many other players, particularly Championship players, can boast, especially to the sort of standard that Philip Billing has played. He has had troubles with consistency, particularly during the middle, sort of the winter part of the season. I think Bournemouth and Parker relied on him a bit too much in that regard because the next best players on the bench were not, they weren't giving the same sort of quality or the same level of running commitment that Billing would give to the team. But no, 10 goals, 10 assists is not a bad return. I feel like his chemistry, particularly with Dominic Solanke in the final third, will be one to look out for in the Prem next season.
And then moving to the attack line, there's again, it's one of those things like with attacking midfielders. There's been a lot of quality in the Championship, and even we'll go through these guys here, but you could pull out say Lewis O'Brien at Huddersfield or Callum O'Hare at Coventry. Lots of talent that won't get close to these guys, and Brennan Johnson hasn't made this team either, which I'm sure will be controversial in some parts. But when you look at those who are in it, you can't really argue too much. From a Fulham perspective, we talked about Mitchevich and his extraordinary number of goals. It makes him a shoe-in. The fact that his all-round game's improved makes him even more of a threat now. And Harry Wilson, 19 assists in the league is fantastic. Is a fantastic return. I think that's the most since Opta started recording them in the Championship, which is only in the last decade or so. His goal contributions, hitting double digits, for goals and for assists, it underlines a really quite impressive season for him. So a strong addition. And when you look at Mitchevich and the goals he scored, you'd think with Solanke that in any other season, you'd be talking about how fantastic it's been, but he sort of had to cope with the shadow, I suppose. But you can talk more about him, I'm sure.
Yeah, he would have got away with a blinding season if it wasn't for that pesky Mitchevich. But no, it's 30 goals is obviously it goes without saying the best that Solanke has managed in the season. 29 Championship goals, 7 assists to boot. He's played as a number 10 at times, a more withdrawn role, linking the play, and he's done that. As well as I've ever seen any striker do that role. He's sort of all-round play, his ability to be clinical in the box. There was a moment, I think, against Fulham in the game in I think it was in April, where there was a 98th minute penalty conceded. And it took literally what felt like forever for Solanke to be ready to take his penalty, because there was a fracas on the touchline with Marco Silva being sent off. There was just a lot of scenes going on, and Solanke had to keep calm. And when we finally realized, oh my God, there's a penalty after all of this, he dispatched it like there was never any doubt, like there was nothing on the line. And I think that cool temperament is probably the biggest sort of improvement that he's sort of gone through this season. And a lot of people will be keen, myself included, to see how him and Mitchevich get on in the Premier League next season, because I think they'll definitely be on a revenge tour.
Okay, well, Peter and Ahmed, thank you very much indeed. Very much looking forward to your coverage in the Premier League of Bournemouth and Fulham next season. Thank you very much indeed for coming on. Have a lovely evening. Now, it is time to move on to a variety of locations for our next set of awards. And we're going to start with the Player of the Year and Young Player of the Year awards in Scotland, in the Scottish Premiership. And I get to do the honour of announcing that the Young Player of the Year in Scotland this year for the season of 2021-22. And it has been an eye-catching season indeed for this man, Calvin Bassey of Rangers, the young defender. He is the Young Player of the Year for the Scottish Premiership. And as there is with so much in the Scottish Premiership, there is a divide between the young player of the year and the player of the year. And it gives me great pride to announce that the winner of the Scottish Premiership Player of the Season is Celtic's Callum McGregor, the Celtic midfielder Callum McGregor, who's had such an impressive season. And obviously, they have won the title once again in Scotland. So congratulations to Calvin Bassey, the Young Player of the Year, and to Callum McGregor, the Player of the Year in Scotland. Now, let's move to Spain. And as you will know, we cover Spanish football in depth on The Athletic. And we are going to name the Player of the Year and the Young Player of the Year in Spain. Let's start with our reporter, Dermot Corrigan, who covers it in depth for us on The Athletic with the Player of the Season. Dermot, over to you.
Hey, Adam. Lovely to speak to you, and thanks a million to everybody for supporting us on our coverage of La Liga in The Athletic this year. Player of the season for La Liga wasn't that difficult to choose, I think it's fair to say. Karim Benzema was head and shoulders above everyone. Courtois had a good season. Vinicius had a good season. But Benzema from start to finish was tremendous really for Madrid. He either scored or assisted 15 goals in Madrid's first 6 La Liga games, set them off to a great start, and they never really looked back from there. He also hit the winner against Sevilla. They had that great comeback win in mid-April when Sevilla, were the closest challengers that they had. But Madrid, sealed the title that day. That was Benzema, and the celebrations were great. You also saw when Benzema wasn't there, the attack really struggled. They only won 2 of the 6 games when he didn't play, which shows just how much they rely on him, how he's kind of one-man strike force in himself, sets up goals for Vinicius as well, scores, brings everybody else into the team. Now on Saturday he's got a chance to go out with a bang in the Champions League final. He has 15 goals already in the tournament, up there with Cristiano and Messi type level, and maybe he scores the winner against Madrid or against Liverpool. He might be on for the Ballon d'Or. So yeah, been a good year for Karim Benzema, and he's La Liga's Player of the Season.
Dermot, thank you very much indeed. I think there'll be a lot of Liverpool fans watching that hope that is the only award that Karim Benzema wins over the next few days. So back to you, Dermot, now for the Young Player of the Year in La Liga. Take it away.
Yeah, Adam, for Young Player of the Year was a little bit more difficult. In the end, went for Gavi from Barcelona. He's really young. Vinicius was in there in the thinking, but he's almost kind of become more of a senior type player at Madrid now. Gavi, nobody knew about him at the start of the season. Only made his debut in September for Barcelona when Koeman was the coach, but just made a tremendous impact on the team. So precocious, so just looks like a Barcelona type midfielder. Gets on the ball, links the play, gets forward, scores goals as well, gives assists, and also has that kind of just bite to his game. Just looking at it here, 8 yellow cards and a red card to go with his 6 assists and 2 goals in La Liga this season. So, he's made a huge impact. You've got Pedri as well, not short of young midfielders at Barca, but Gavi has just looked pretty special. He even played for Spain, still 17, against Italy in the Nations League in the autumn, was tremendous. Also interesting because, he's got locked into a bit of a contract battle at Barca. He knows how good he is. His people know how good he is as well, and they're holding out for more money to be on the same kind of money as Pedri and Ansu Fati. Barca are stuck for cash at the minute as well. So we're going to be hearing a good bit about Gavi maybe over the next couple of weeks. Could be a transfer saga coming up as well. And yeah, Gavi, Young Player of the Year from La Liga for The Athletic. Cheers.
Cheers to you, Dermot. And we look forward to reading Dermot's words over this weekend, obviously around the Champions League final, Real Madrid up against Liverpool. And just a word, I was just thinking there about Karim Benzema. There's a great piece on The Athletic right now written by Roshane Thomas regarding Karim Benzema and his journey to the iconic status that he has now. And as Dermot mentioned, who knows, it may well be the Ballon d'Or for him this year. Right, so we have dealt with Scotland, we've dealt with La Liga. It's now time to move on to Serie A and the Bundesliga. And Seb Stafford-Bloor now joins us live. There he is. Seb, great to see you. I hope you're well. You win for the best backdrop so far. That is the snazziest wallpaper we have seen on the show so far. Seb, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you, Adam. Thank you for having me on.
So now let's deal with Serie A first, if we can, and the Young Player of the Year in Italy. Tell us who's the winner and why.
Well, it's a great story, Adam. So our young player of the year in Italy in Serie A is Pierre Kalulu from AC Milan. And the story which really fits the whole kind of the narrative arc around AC Milan. Kalulu joined 18 months ago, really as a sort of a deputy at right back. And during the course of this season, Milan lost Romagnoli, they lost Chiar, and Kalulu had to form a kind of makeshift centre-back pairing with Fikayo Tomori. And it turned out to be absolutely brilliant. It's one of those kind of moments of fate, and brilliant footballer. For those who haven't seen him, very modern in the way that he plays the ball, can also play right back to an extremely high standard, but just also a superb one-on-one tackler, good in the air, has everything you'd want. And that pairing with Tomori is something to see, and it was became the bedrock of Milan's Scudetto win. So he's our young player of the year.
And it has been a wonderful year for AC Milan. Not giving too much away, but who is the player of the year? The main award in Serie A.
Okay, so this is going to complete a Milan clean sweep, but it is Rafael Leo. Now, what's interesting about him is about a year or two ago, I had a friend who would not stop telling me that he was a Portuguese Thierry Henry, and I was fairly negative about that. I was like, yeah, of course he is. As time has gone on, and particularly as 2021 turned to 2022, the resemblance has become a little bit uncanny. Leo is becoming a wonderfully economic, efficient player. He didn't start the season brilliantly, had a few sort of not anonymous spells, but quieter moments during the year. This was very much a collaborative effort from Milan. But towards the end, you see kind of the whole package of abilities, like his capabilities one-on-one, his finishing, his decision-making, his ability to play in others for better shooting opportunities. Goodness, he's becoming a good player, and so fully deserves to be our Serie A player of the season.
Okay, Seb, thank you very much indeed. Should we deal with the Bundesliga now and start with the young player of the year?
Yeah, shall I change my wallpaper first, just make it a little bit more German possibly, or just go straight into it, just to create the illusion? Okay, so the young player, and it's a popular one because he plays for a very popular team, and they were very much a neutral favourite in Germany this year. And as Freiburg's Nico Schlotterbeck, who will soon become Dortmund's Nico Schlotterbeck next season. For those who haven't seen him, imagine a young Jan Vertonghen, the old Tottenham centre half, just in terms of sort of his confidence on the ball, his ball playing ability, his willingness to dribble out of the back line, to pass over short and medium and long range distances. Also, one of the funny things about Schlotterbeck is he looks like quite a wiry, slender guy, but actually he's quite physical, actually really, really good in the air. And it might be a little bit contentious, but I think he's probably Germany's best centre-back prospect since someone like Mats Hummels. He really, really is an outstanding player. Already a German international. He's had a couple of caps, capped earlier this year. And at Dortmund, he will form a new centre-back pairing with Niklas Süle, who's joined for Bayern Munich. So that's really interesting. And Borussia Dortmund had some real centre-half issues this season, and that will go a long way to curing it. But unfortunately, Freiburg just missed out cruelly on the Pokal. They lost on penalties to RB Leipzig, unfortunately. And they're also a couple of goals away from what would have been a remarkable qualification for the Champions League, but not quite to be. But an amazing season, and all coming under the work of Christian Streich as well, who's amongst the most popular managers in Germany for good reason. So Nico Schlotterbeck is our young player of the year in Germany.
Seb, thank you very much indeed. And now on to the main award in the Bundesliga, the player of the year.
This one makes me happy because I've enjoyed watching him so much. It's RB Leipzig's Christopher Nkunku. Now, earlier this year, back in January, I interviewed Yusuf Poulsen from Leipzig, who's very much Mr. Leipzig. He's been there for so long, he's seen it all. And I asked him specifically about Christopher Nkunku and what was so different about him this year. And he said, he always has ability, and he always had self-belief, and he always had the kind of technical attributes. This was the year when he understood, really, according to Poulsen, how to use it all properly. And goodness, what a body of work. Nkunku, prior to this year, was kind of shifted around all 6 of the attacking positions. You'd see him on the left, on the right, as a number 10, a wide midfielder, sometimes a centre forward. This year, played mainly right at the top of the pitch, in concert with Andre Silva. Was particularly impressive beyond the goal tally, the range of goals, the movement off the ball, the pace, the kind of the playmaking, the whole package is his form survived the beginning half of the season when Leipzig had some very difficult months under Jesse Marsch. It really didn't go very well. They could be entertaining, but they weren't built on particularly solid foundations. There's a lot of underperforming players in that team, and Nkunku was never one of them. He has been outstanding all the way through. And it's very fitting that I mentioned the Pokal defeat that Freiburg suffered. And Nkunku scored the equaliser in that game. And I think if you wanted to learn something about him, you'd never seen him before, watch that goal, watch the movement off the ball, watch the instinct, watch the goal scoring touch, and also that kind of that slight intangible, which is a player who enjoys big moments, a player who scores important goals. He is going to be an absolute star of the game. Christopher Nkunku is a wonderful footballer and head and shoulders our player of the year in Germany this year.
Brilliant. Seb, thank you very much indeed for rounding up those awards in the Bundesliga and also in City. And thanks to Dermot Corrigan as well for speaking to us from Spain. Seb, we will see you very, very soon indeed. Thank you for coming on the awards show with your wonderful wallpaper. It is now time to head back into the Premier League. Obviously, we are building up to naming the Player of the Year in the Premier League. But our next award, this is an interesting one. And I remember over the years, we've been doing this 3 years now. It's quite a controversial one because people say, oh, you know, we know about him. We know what he does. Da, 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 da. This is the underrated Player of the Year. And Roshane Thomas is here to announce the winner of this award. Roshane, announce the winner and then maybe we can get stuck into who we're talking about.
No, for sure. The winner for this fantastic award is Jarrod Bowen.
Roshane, thank you very much indeed. Before we hear your take on him, let's hear from the man himself, Jarrod Bowen. Congratulations.
Hi everyone, Jarrod Bowen here. Just wanted to say thank you for all voting me. It's been a great season at West Ham. Obviously the England call-up as well is topped it all off for a great season. So thank you for all the support this season, and once again, thanks for voting for me.
I can't hear you, Adam. I can't hear you.
Sorry for that brief interruption, ladies and gentlemen. We just had to just sort out a couple of audio issues. I do hope that you can hear me now. There was me blaming Roshane Thomas, and it was me all along. Never mind. So we are going to get Roshane back on the show to join us to select our team of the year. That gives us a little bit of an inkling that there may well be a West Ham player involved in this team of the year. It's not going to be Jarrod Bowen because he is the underrated player of the year. Okay, let's bring on James Pearce, our Liverpool reporter, and Sam Lee, our Manchester City reporter. Look at that. It's a title race in a picture. Look at them going head to head still. So we have a lot to get through, and we're going to rattle through our team of the year. Maybe I'll tee you up each, and maybe you can give us a little sentence on each player. So in goal is James Allison. He won the battle of the two great keepers. I think we've lost the audio on James, unfortunately.
Can you hear me? Because I'll go along with Allison.
Yeah, go on. You go along with Allison over Edison, do you, Sam?
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. I think Edison's better with his feet, but I think Allison's better at keeping the ball out of the net. So overall, you'd probably go with Allison. Edison's really important for City, but yeah, Allison's great. No problems there from a City point of view.
Okay. James, just say hello to me. Can we hear you? No, we can't. Okay, that's not a problem. We will try and sort that out in a moment's time. It is a little bit difficult because we have Trent Alexander-Arnold in our team of the year. We have Virgil van Dijk in our team of the year. And Sam, from your point of view, those two, they deserve to be in there. We were speaking about Trent Alexander-Arnold in particular with that Young Player of the Year nomination.
Well, now James is gone. It's going to have to be Walker and Laporte, isn't it? So I don't make the rules. So Walker and Laporte, is it? Alexander-Arnold. We were talking about him earlier on. In terms of that particular Young Player of the Year nomination, needs no introduction. Obviously, a great right back. I think Reece James would have had a great shout if he'd have been fit for a bit longer. I think he's phenomenal. Kyle Walker as well, really important for Man City. But Trent Alexander-Arnold, can't really argue with that. He's one of those players that revolutionises the position, the way that Klopp's got him moving into those spaces inside up the pitch and allowing him to put those balls into the box and in behind the defence. Yeah, I can see why he's in there.
There is a Manchester City representative in that back four, Cancelo. Quite rightly,
yeah, well,
for you.
That's why I mentioned revolutionising the position. Like, you've got another one there in Cancelo. He's not really a left back, and he's been called to play right back in the last few games, which is his natural position. I think he's better at left back these days. He never used to like playing there at his old clubs, but I don't think that's because. Well, I think that's because he never actually played it like this. He goes into midfield. He's kind of like a deep lying playmaker. Fullbacks are so important these days because when teams defend deep against the top sides, all the space is kind of deep and on the wings, so it allows you to put the ball in the box. Cancelo can drift inside into that kind of inside deep line midfield position, put the balls in, make passes in behind. Yeah, I think he's the standout. Well, one of the standout left backs for sure.
And completing that back four is Antonio Rudiger of Chelsea. Obviously, he's now heading off and away from Stamford Bridge. Let's head into our three-man midfield now. And Declan Rice is in our midfield. Roshane, spot on?
Yeah, well deserved. He's excelled so much this season. Well, arguably the first name on the team sheet for West Ham. One of the few players who's guaranteed a place in the starting 11 for England for the World Cup, of course. He's just been such a key performer for West Ham and deservedly winning the Ham of the Year award. Second time in his career, of course. So, and the great thing about Deck, he's starting to add goals to his game. So, although it was in the Premier League, my mind goes back to the group stage game against Genk, where he won that terrific solo run. He saw other memorable goals he scored as well. That winner he scored against Kidderminster in the FA Cup, of course. So, yeah, definitely deserving of being in the Team of the Year. And again, my last point on Deck is I think the narrative has changed now. Before it was this guy is overrated, isn't good enough. Where I believe last summer for the Euros for England, he really excelled. And fans that aren't West Ham supporters are like, this guy isn't good enough, I'm not sure about him. But now everyone's like, come to our club, Declan, we want you. So, yeah, Declan deserves to be in the Team of the Year.
two players that would be very difficult to prize away from Manchester City. Sam, complete that midfield three.
Yeah, Kevin De Bruyne, the obvious one, really stepped up in the second half of the season. Guardiola said he was beyond perfect in the second half of the season. I think he got 10 goals since the start of January and 7 assists. Got the assist for Ilkay Gundogan's winner on Sunday, which was obviously the goal that clinched the league title. That ball to the back post, which he just knows how to find instinctively. So yeah, he really stepped up. Just so important for City. And the other one is Rodri. I'm a bit surprised that he's got in, but surprised in a good way. You know, I'm sure I put him in my team. I think he's been really important. Great holding midfielder. He's really come on leaps and bounds at City. I think there's two stats that I used in an article I wrote about him today to highlight this. So in the whole Premier League, he's won possession back for his side more than anybody else. But City lose possession least. So City got more of the ball, but he's still winning the ball back more than everyone else. And everyone else on the list was like João Moutinho, Ruben Neves, Oriol Romeu, Salisu, teams like Højbjerg, teams that are losing the ball, winning it back, losing the ball, winning it back. City have always got the ball, but whenever they do lose it, he has to be the one to get it, and he is doing it. And the other stat is he's played the most passes under pressure in the Premier League, and it's 120 more than second place. So whether he's got the ball or whether he hasn't, he needs to either win it back or play it under pressure. There's so much pressure on that role, and he's done it brilliantly this season. So that's why he was in my team, and I'm glad that he's in my colleague's team as well.
Okay, let's head into the front three. And Mo Salah had to be in there, didn't he, Roshane?
Yeah, for sure. He's been fantastic this season. Just what a player. You know, when I watched him for Liverpool versus West Ham, again, one of the players that you thought, wow, what a player, because we all know how fantastic he is, but when you watch him live in the flesh, that's when you think, wow, he really is some player. So the fact he shared the top score with Heung-min Son was well deserved, of course. And obviously he's got a big one on Saturday in the Champions League final, and I'm hoping he will do well in that match. So yeah, definitely deserving of being a Team of the Year. And for our sake, he's going to be in the Premier League next season, so we get to watch him once more.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he confirmed that ahead of the match against Real Madrid. I can't work out if James is preserving his voice for the weekend or if there are audio issues. James, can you just give me a la 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 la?
Can you hear me now?
Hear me now. There you are. Wonderful. Now we've gone through many Liverpool players. We've had Alisson, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Virgil van Dijk. We've just spoken about Mo Salah, Sadio Mane in there. We were speaking about Karim Benzema maybe being a contender for the golden, the Ballon d'Or, come the end of this season. Sadio Mane is certainly in the mix for that, and it could be, if it comes down to penalties, who are you going to choose to take a decisive penalty?
Yeah, he's had an unbelievable start to 2022, Sadio Mane. I think probably a little bit on the lean side first half of the season in terms of not his absolute best, but going away and winning AFCON and being the hero in the manner he was, and then repeating the trick in that World Cup playoff against Egypt. He's just been transformed, 23 goals in all competitions, and the tactical switch from Klopp from moving him from the left-hand side into the middle, following the signing of Luis Diaz has proved absolutely inspired. And I think, I think if certainly Mohamed Salah was the player of the first half of the season, but Liverpool-wise, there's no doubt it was Sadio Mane from the turn of the year onwards.
Okay, completing that forward three is Heung-min Son of Tottenham, and here's our analytics writer, Mark Carey, just to give us a little bit more detail on why he is in there.
Son Heung-min, the Golden Boot winner, or the joint Golden Boot winner, I suppose, with Mohamed Salah. But certainly worth mentioning that all 23 of Son's goals this season were in open play, as opposed to Salah's 5 that were taken from the penalty spot. So, I mean, Son has had the best goal-scoring season of his career, and I think what makes him such a good finisher is his ability to shoot with both feet. So, of those 23 goals, 11 have been with his right foot and 12 have been with his left foot. So it shows that, whichever way a defender looks to close him down, he can shift it onto that other foot so easily. We know how good his partnership is with Harry Kane as well, and now they both have the chance to help Spurs in the Champions League next season, obviously after finishing 4th. So a great season for Son, a great season for Spurs as well, and congratulations on a fantastic year.
Many thanks to Mark. Many thanks to Roshane, who has stepped away now. We are right at the business end of this awards ceremony now. We have 2 awards to hand out before the main award in the men's category, which is the Player of the Year. We're going to start off with the Goal of the Year, and it's a good divide to have on the screen. But the winner is, James, tell us all about it.
Yeah, I think this was the standout one for me. Mohamed Salah against Manchester City at Anfield back in October. I think I think it felt like Mohamed Salah was having a goal of the season competition with himself for a few months there in the autumn, and it was just immense. It didn't turn out to be the winner because of De Bruyne's deflected equaliser late on at Anfield. But I think it was just a goal that had everything. When he received the ball with his back to goal, I think it was Curtis Jones who gave it to him. There looked like there was no danger, and then he turned away from Cancelo. The shifting the ball from left to right to get away from Foden and Bernardo Silva, and then he still had Laporte standing in his way, and to burst past him in the way he did, and then the arrowed finish beyond Ederson. I think Jurgen Klopp said himself that day, it's the kind of goal people will remember in 50, 60 years' time, and I think that summed it up pretty well.
Yeah, congratulations to Mo Salah for winning our Goal of the Year award. How about the individual performance of the year, Sam?
Yeah, great individual performance, kind of set up by the team, but it was Kevin De Bruyne against Wolves the other week when he got the 4 goals, and then unfortunately crashed another off the post. So it would have been 5, and that would have been 4 goals with his left foot. But yeah, the 4 that he did score, the first 3 in particular, very special. Early hat-trick. It was the game that City really needed that one to set up going into West Ham, and then Aston Villa needing just the 4 points. That could have been tricky. Wolves away, they're a very difficult side to play against, as James will remember from when Liverpool went there earlier in the season, and I guess from the weekend as well, even at Anfield. But yeah, De Bruyne, he was just in one of those moods where he grabbed the game by the scruff of its neck. But I must say that the team performance was there as well. They had the Foden and Sterling on their stronger sides, running in behind, pulling the Wolves defence back, trying to create spaces between the defence and the midfield. And Bernardo Silva and Kevin De Bruyne were taking it in turns. One would drop off, one would run in behind. They didn't really know what they were dealing with, Wolves. And so that provided the platform for De Bruyne to do what he did. But obviously then he did have to go and do what he did. First half hat-trick, all left foot. The third one from the edge of the box, arrowed into the bottom corner. Yeah, perfect kind of Kevin De Bruyne display, and I guess no surprise really. They just won the performance of the season.
Indeed, he has. Well done to Kevin De Bruyne, our individual performance of the year. We have had a change of angle for the big moment, and we are now going to announce our Player of the Season, the culmination of the Athletics Player of the Year awards, our end of season awards, and these are the 3 nominees. Sam, do you want to take us through the nominees?
I've suddenly gone blank. One of them is...
I can take you through.
No, I know who they are. I know who they are.
All right, okay.
I was just testing it. So yeah, the nominees are Kevin De Bruyne of Manchester City, Heung-min Son of Tottenham, and just checking, and Mohamed Salah of Liverpool.
Okay, I'm going to give a quick word to both of you before we announce the winner here. James, why should Mo Salah win this award?
Well, I think he was by far and away the best player in the world, probably for the first 5 months of the season. I think by his own crazy high standards, a little dip in the final few months, but sharing the golden boot with Son, walked away with the assist trophy as well with 13 in the Premier League. So yeah, he would get my shout.
Okay, and you mentioned Son there, obviously that goal scoring run that he went on and leading Tottenham into the Champions League above Arsenal, their great rivals, had such a fantastic end to the season. So Salah, Son, or Kevin De Bruyne? Why should it be Kevin De Bruyne, Sam?
Yeah, well, kind of the other way around. De Bruyne didn't have a great start to the season by his own admission. He said that the other night during the trophy celebration. But I guess the fact that there was a trophy celebration at all is down to Kevin De Bruyne and what he did in the second half. Like I said earlier on, Guardiola said second half of the season he was beyond perfect. 10 goals, 7 assists. The assist to clinch the league title. There's 4 goals at Wolves the other week and a really big game. He really kind of forced his way back into the City team because he'd fallen out of it, and just made City play the way that suits him again. Less of this control. We're just going to go and I'm going to knock the wall down. And he did that so many times in that second half of the season and ultimately delivered the Premier League trophy.
Okay, so is it going to be Son? Is it going to be Salah? Is it going to be Kevin De Bruyne? I'm going to hand over to the person to announce the winner with that allegiance. So drum roll, please, and take it away, Sam.
Yeah, it's Kevin De Bruyne.
It is indeed Kevin De Bruyne, a worthy winner, of course, in your eyes. You've waxed lyrical about him there. Is there anything that maybe just sort of ultimately swung it for him?
Yeah, like James said, Salah was great earlier in the season. De Bruyne was great in the second half of the season. I think recency really helps. But also, I suppose I think everybody voted for this after the season finished. Manchester City won the title. Maybe if Liverpool had, it would have gone the other way with Salah. But yeah, I think the fact that De Bruyne had such a big say in the performances that kind of delivered a trophy probably swung it. But as has been the case with those two so often over the last 4 or 5 years, it's really close between them when it comes to these awards, and it has been again.
Absolutely. It's been a joy to watch Kevin De Bruyne this season, and we're very grateful to the Manchester City creative midfielder for sending us this acceptance message. It's a pleasure to win these awards. To receive individual recognition at the end of a season means that we have achieved success as a team, and this is what every player strives for. It's been a long season, but for it to end the way that it did was a fantastic reward for all of us involved. Wolves was particularly special because I was just trying to push the team on to the title. So to lift the trophy at the weekend was the perfect end. Thank you to all the writers and editors who voted for me. So that is Kevin De Bruyne, The Athletic UK's player of the season. Sam, thank you very much indeed for your time this evening, right from the start all the way to the end. Thank you very much indeed. James, also to you. Hopefully there will be some silverware to celebrate for Liverpool this weekend, and very much looking forward to the coverage on The Athletic of the Champions League. Sam, thank you very much. James, thank you very much.
Cheers, Adam.
And just a final word from me, from The Athletic HQ. Thank you very much for being on board this season with The Athletic for the last hour and a half as well, going through all of those awards from the WSL through into the Premier League as well. Remember, the coverage continues on The Athletic through the summer. We obviously have the Champions League final coming up. We have the Women's Euros coming up as well, and everything in between. It's been an absolute pleasure to be doing this once again this year, our third awards year at The Athletic, at Athletic HQ. And this is obviously my desk, Adam's desk, that I am sat at. And I'm going to just maybe go and celebrate myself after really enjoying that award ceremony. Take care, everyone. And remember, head to theathletic.com. All the best.